Hello everybody, what's up? I originally planned on this being two separate videos, but then when I looked at the pay-per-views that I was going to be covering, both Final Resolution and TLC, neither of which I think I'm going to see because it's, it's Christmas season and I kind of need to, save up my money to buy presents for all the other friends and family of mine. So I'm probably not going to check out either pay-per-view. But when I looked at both cards, I was just kind of like, I don't really have a whole lot to say about them, so I'm just going to go through both of them rather briefly, or as briefly as I can. Final Resolution, TNA's last pay-per-view of the year. A lot of rematches. And that's basically that sums it up right there. Just a lot of rematches. We're getting Hardy versus Roode again, only with Hardy as champion. That was actually the main event to the first pay-per-view of the year, back in Genesis. We're getting Bully Ray versus Austin Aries again, this time centered around a stupid storyline. We're getting Mickey versus Tara again for the Knockouts title, though it's nice to have Mickey back. We are getting for the 857 billionth, 948 millionth, 645,000th, 437th time, AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels, which they are billing as the last time. And I'm like, first of all, I'm calling bullshit. That's not the last time they're going to wrestle. I'm sorry. At this point, it's like, it's bullshit. You're lying to me. But at the same time, I hear that, and I'm thinking, you promise? You promise, really? This is going to be it? Again, it's not that the match will be bad. They go out there, they'll have a good match. I'm sure they will, but I just don't fucking care anymore because they've done it so goddamn much. So hopefully they stick to their guns, and this is it. Never again. So yeah, those are the big rematches. There are a couple other title matches on there, and this card also suffers from kind of the same problem that I have with a lot of modern wrestling cards, where they don't really build up the contenders as well as I think they should. They could probably actually do some contenders matches at the pay-per-view rather than do, rush them into title situations. Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan are getting the tag title shot. I don't think they've won a match as a tag team. If they have, I might be wrong, but I don't recall seeing them even tag together in a match, and they're the #1 contenders for the tag team titles. How does that happen? Mickie James, again, that's a perfect example. They could have put her on the path with her return story and everything. Instead of rushing that, they could have made this the contenders match at the paper and make the kind of the culmination, or even just build up her return on TV through vignettes, and this match could be built up as her big return match, and that would put her on the path to eventually getting a title shot. I'm just throwing ideas out there. And we got Kenny King versus Rob Van Dam. It's a fresh match, and I like Kenny King. I'm glad they brought it back. It's just a matter of, he wins one match, he's #1 contender, and that's all there is to the match, unfortunately. So hopefully they come up with something a little bit better there. And again, it's just the same things I've talked about before with, oversaturation, rushing title matches, rushing contenders, when they can easily just scale back and take their time. There's also a match. It's Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Wes Briscoe, and Garrett Bischoff versus the Aces and Eights. Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff are going to be revealed as part of the Aces and Eights. I think we all know that. When or where is anybody's guess. Might be this match, but we shall see. So that's pretty much it for Final Resolution. It's just kind of not a terrible card. I'm not trying to put it down as this awful, awful card, but it's not really. It doesn't feel like they're closing out the year with a bang, and it just kind of feels like, again, just same old stuff that I've talked about millions and millions of times before. And then we got TLC for the WWE, which lost their main event. CM Punk had emergency knee surgery, and that canceled the main event between him and Ryback, which hurts this pay-per-view in of itself. It really does hurt this individual pay-per-view in the short run. In the long run, I think it's a much better thing that this happened. Ryback was not going to win this match. If he didn't beat him in Hell in a Cell, he sure as hell wasn't going to win it at TLC, a month away from Punk versus Rock. It's not going to happen. And if they want to build up Ryback as a main event star, I think it's a mistake to have him lose 3 straight pay-per-view main events or opportunities at the world title. Because then you're just you're taking all the build-up that you gave to him and you're kind of knocking him back, and you keep knocking him back and knocking him back. Now, of course, if you listen to one of my previous videos, one of my more recent videos, I talked about how I wouldn't have even done Punk versus Ryback until this pay-per-view. But they wouldn't have never had the Hell in a Cell match before. But, again, it is what it is. I think it's better in the long run. Plus, it cuts back on the oversaturation of the WWE title that I talk about. And, Punk will be back in time for the Rumble for his match with The Rock. You can start building into that. Like I said, Punk was not going to lose the title here, and he'd already beaten Ryback before, so there's really not a whole lot of new ground to cover by doing this match again. So I think it's kind of a positive they lost. Give Punk his rest, let him heal up, and get him ready for the bigger match with The Rock, which they've been building up since... you can draw pointers to it going as far back as the infamous worked shoot promo heading into Money in the Bank 2011, and it really jump-started with the Raw 1000, where Punk attacked The Rock. And you'd have all that build-up going into that. So, I think that's going to be really, really good. I think this is a really big match. They're replacing it with Ryback and Team Hell No going up against The Shield, which Ryback's probably going to win that match, although I guess they could have The Shield pin Daniel Bryan. It wouldn't really hurt all that much, and you'd set up The Shield versus Team Hell No for the tag titles at some point. But it's not a bad match. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with The Shield. Maybe they're rushing it, maybe they aren't. I don't know. It's a fresh match at least, and there aren't a whole lot of fresh matches on this pay-per-view, unfortunately. We got Kofi versus Barrett again. I wasn't that impressed with it the first time, so I don't really care now. I haven't been that impressed with the matches they've had on TV. They were in the Survivor Series match last month, so yeah, okay. I'm all straightened out now. Yeah, I mean, their matches on TV are just kind of, they're there. Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth, I think they're the ones that had the Survivor Series. Or no, they were the ones that had the title match of Survivor Series. Am I right? I don't know. There's so much fucking material now that I just kind of lose track of everything. But, they're having a U.S. title match. Don't really care. Cesaro, love the talent. He's a great worker. I've been singing Claudio's praises since his Ring of Honor days. I don't like what they're doing with him from a character standpoint. I mean, they're giving him wins, and he's being allowed to carry a title as like a pure wrestling champion. That's cool. But he's just kind of doing this evil foreigner thing like Ludwig Borga. That's who I keep comparing him to. And it's just kind of boring. The only kind of cool thing they do with it is him speaking 5 different languages. But other than that, it's just kind of, I'm evil because I'm not from here. Hate me. And I'm like, come on, can't we be more creative than that? But yeah, I don't really care. And then you got Ziggler versus Cena, which is centered around a stupid storyline. Stupid storyline. They had a really good match a couple weeks ago on Raw. I already put that match over. But yeah, Ziggler's Money in the Bank is on the line. Why? I mean, I don't think Ziggler's going to lose. The fact that Ziggler keeps losing on TV tells me that he's going to win at the pay-per-view, which, I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they would just... it really does annoy me on TV when I see a bunch of tag matches made up of pay-per-view opponents, because I think, you want to make the pay-per-view matches seem special and like something you wouldn't see on TV, and you're giving away in-ring interactions between these people on TV, and that to me just seems really strange. But and TNA's guilty of it too. Look at what their main event was this week on Impact. So I mean, yeah, it's a really good match, but you're having a bunch of pay-per-view opponents wrestle each other. So yeah, I think Ziggler's going to win. They might give that the main event spot, because I can't picture them giving it to the 6-man tag. And I definitely don't see them giving it to Sheamus versus Big Show, which is another rematch that they're doing for the 80th time. And again, it's not that Big Show and Sheamus have bad matches. It's that I just don't really care about either character at this point because of how they've been handled. It's kind of, it's not as bad as the Del Rio Sheamus matches where I didn't give a shit about the characters and the matches were ungodly boring. They were so boring they were unholy. Those fucking matches. But Big Show and Sheamus at least have solid matches, but I just don't give a shit about the world title. I don't give a shit about the characters. They need to unify those goddamn belts as quickly as possible and just be done with it. And if they want to go with my idea of doing Ryback versus Lesnar, this might be their opportunity to do the run-in with the Shield. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there of what they could do. But yeah, neither card, Final Resolution or TLC, just neither one really jumps out at me and as a strong closer to the year for the pay-per-views or for either company. It's just kind of, paint-by-numbers kind of stuff, mostly. TLC is going to be heavily gimmicked because it's TLC. And there's a bunch of rematches on both shows. Actually, I think, I remember reading I doubt they'll do this again. They might do Orton and Del Rio again, which, yay. To what end? Hasn't Orton won all the matches? What's the point if they do that again? But, yeah, it is what it is. Neither pay-per-view really jumps out at me, but, you know, hopefully those of you that decide to watch them enjoy them, and, yeah. Okay, now the real meaty topic that I wanted to talk about today was a potential match for WrestleMania 29, and there are so many rumors and dirt sheet reports going around about what the big matches for WrestleMania 29 are going to be, and obviously the big matches are going to be the ones involving guys like Undertaker, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, and Triple H. You know, possibly Punk versus Austin has been thrown around. You know, Rock and Cena 2 has been thrown around, and there's a lot of question marks about what Brock Lesnar is going to do at WrestleMania 29. Is he going to wrestle Punk? Is he going to wrestle Undertaker? Is he going to wrestle The Rock? I read that one today, that it's going to be Brock and Rock at WrestleMania. But I don't know. I have no idea what the plan is. It's really hard to see at this point. We'll probably get a clearer picture at around Royal Rumble time, and then going forward from there, we'll probably have a clearer picture of what big matches they want to do with the special appearance guys like Lesnar and Rock and Undertaker. But one match that I do not want to see, and I think it's a possibility that they could do it. Not necessarily the strongest possibility. Like I said, there are other things they can do, but I do not want to see Triple H versus Brock Lesnar happen at WrestleMania 29. I don't think there's any reason to do that match. And if you remember my SummerSlam review, I was not a big fan of their first match, but let's remove that from the discussion entirely. Let's forget that I wasn't a huge fan of that match. And I'm not even, like, angry that I wasn't, like, that impressed with it. It's like, you know, sometimes that just happens. You have an off night, or things just don't click, or maybe I'm just weird, because a lot of people I talk to really like the match. So, okay, fine, whatever. Pretend that I said that it was the greatest match of the year. And even if it was, if I loved the match and I thought it was the best match of the year, I would say the exact same thing that I'm going to say right now. What I'm talking about is from a storyline perspective, not necessarily from a star rating match quality type of perspective. I do not want to see Triple H versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 29 because I feel like it accomplishes nothing. The reports have been that Lesnar's under contract for the WWE for limited appearances for a year. They could extend that, I don't know, but the assumption is that he's going to wrap things up at WrestleMania 29. And if that's the case, I felt like, okay, you're only going to get him for a handful of matches. I think he should have beat Cena, and a lot of people do. And they did the right thing. They had him beat Triple H, and even went as far to say that he potentially retired Triple H. That's where it needs to end between Lesnar and Triple H. Lesnar won, and Triple H got his arm broken twice, and that's it. It's over. The Brock Lesnar Triple H thing is over. Because what you've done there is that you've built Lesnar's heat. You've built heat into that character, and now, and unfortunately, the reason I keep throwing Ryback at Lesnar in my fantasy booking insanity is because they haven't really built up anybody new to take down Lesnar, and that would have been my plan all along. Like, Ryback's the only guy that I can think of. If you want to make a new star with Brock Lesnar, you have him beat all these guys, Cena's, the Triple H's, and so, and then you give him to a new guy at WrestleMania, and the new guy takes him down. And that's what you do. You've helped create a new star. And that's the route I would take. I don't know if Ryback would have been my first pick, but that's really their option at this point, I feel. And the reason I say that, Triple H doesn't need to get his revenge. Triple H is a legend. He's gone as far as he's ever going to go. He's as big as he's ever going to be. I don't see the point in having him face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 29 just to have him get his win back. To me, that accomplishes nothing, because the win, it's like what I talked about with the streak, the Undertaker streak. If Triple H had ended the streak, it would have accomplished absolute dick. Because, I mean, you just gave 20 years worth of build-up, 2 decades worth of matches, and this streak that you pounded to death, and you've given it to a guy that's already semi-retired and a special appearance guy who's as big as he's ever going to be. Serves no purpose. And the comparison I like to make is to Star Wars. I think the original Star Wars trilogy are some of the best movies ever made. And I use it a lot when talking about great storytelling. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a legendary figure. in the Star Wars universe. He does not need to get his revenge on Darth Vader. Darth Vader kills him in A New Hope. That's it. They're done. They're done. What you've done is you've built up Vader's heat, and now you've set him up for Luke at the end of Empire. And by the time Luke gets to Vader at the end of Empire, keep in mind this is before the big revelation, Vader has been the representative of the Empire that killed Luke's aunt and uncle. He was told that Vader killed his father. He killed Obi-Wan right in front of him. And you have all that heat built into Vader. And he also, throughout Empire, he kidnapped Han Solo, he kidnapped Leia and all of his friends, and tortured them and kept them hostage just to get to Luke. So it's a very personal battle by the time they meet up in Empire. And that's what the plan should be, to do something like that. Triple H is done. Lesnar killed him. Triple H is the Kenobi. Lesnar's the Darth Vader. Lesnar killed him. That's the end of that. Now you got to set him up for somebody new to take him down. And I don't know who that would be. Again, I keep throwing Ryback out there because that just seems like the logical choice, just based on the way they built up Ryback. But yeah, I mean, that would be the path that I would take. That would be, I'm not a fan of that kind of like, oh, well, you beat me here, so I've got to win the next one. Or you've won 3 in a row, so I've got to win the next one. Or, that 50-50 type of thing where it's like, I have to get my win back. And that's not always true. You can, it should, the guy who goes over should be the one that benefits the story best. And Lesnar went over at SummerSlam, which was the right decision. And that should be the end of it. They don't need to do another match. And their plan should have been, again, I don't know what their plan is, would be for Lesnar to face somebody new. I wouldn't be excited about him facing Undertaker. That would be better, because it would at least be a newer match, even though they wrestled each other God knows how many times in 2003. It would be better than just doing Lesnar and Triple H again. Again, not saying that they can't have a great match. Yeah, I didn't like the SummerSlam match, but, put them in Wrestlemania, maybe they could have a great match. But it's not always about match quality. It's about telling the best story. And I think that's the route they should go with Lesnar. And keep in mind, you're only having him for a couple of matches. I mean, they've only gotten 2 matches out of him so far, and we're talking like WrestleMania is going to be his last one, so you've only gotten 3 matches out of him. Do you really want to spend 2 of them with Triple H? Again, a guy who's gone as far as he's ever going to go and is basically retired at this point. I mean, he's a special appearance guy, and that's fine. But I would do something different with Brock Lesnar come WrestleMania time and use him as a tool to help create a new star. And I think that's the route they should go. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. We'll get a clearer picture on what WrestleMania 29 turns into starting in 2013 as we head into the Rumble. But that's all I have for now, and hope you all are enjoying the holiday season, and all that other good stuff. And stay tuned for more. I'm actually doing a question and answers video. I should have announced that at the start, but I'm doing another question and answers video. So send in your questions to me. Just private message them over to me on my YouTube account. Label in the subject, label it Q&A so I know what you're talking about. No restrictions on this one as far as I've done wrestling specific ones. I've done non-wrestling specific ones where you can just ask me anything. Now I'm feeling in a fun and fancy free mood. Just ask me anything you want. And it doesn't have to be about wrestling. It can be about TV shows, movies. I don't really care. So ask me any questions you want, and we'll go forward from there. But until then, I'll see you all next week.